So here we have a large a groundhog, also known as a whistle pig, which is a large ground squirrel. It's of that family. It's very widespread throughout the United States. It has a huge habitat range, and in fact it usually lives near people because as people come, they bring more food, more abundance. So as we can see, we have one living right here near the University of Pittsburgh. Now this isn't always common because usually they try to live near more forests and other places, but here we have one that is living right near us, in fact in the middle of a city, which is also interesting because usually when you think of a groundhog you might think of a pest, but in such a way groundhogs are actually somewhat good for the local ecosystem, because while the groundhog itself might eat your crops, their burrows can also be used by foxes and other things that will actually help the local ecosystem, and sometimes some of their excavation can help with the soil itself. Now note groundhogs can create very large structures underground that can be meters in length long, but don't worry, they're never large enough to actually hurt the foundation of a building, so they can hurt the foundation of a crop, which is problematic. So as we see here, we're not sure if this is a male or female individual. One way to tell is that the males actually come out earlier than the females. So if we were to say, I think there was two groundhogs around here, different size, I guess we could assume the male is the larger one. But if we were to wait, maybe we can see which groundhog would come out first. So when groundhogs hibernate, they go through true hibernation, and their heartbeat slows down into the single digits beats per minute. And unlike other hibernators, they don't store food. They eat all the food for the winter, and they go in like that throughout the winter. Depending on the season, it could be as quick as 2 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 4 months. It really depends on what the weather's like. And again, that's kind of where you get the whole Groundhog Day from. And then the movie has stuff about groundhogs in it. So, what else can I say? The groundhogs are also excellent climbers too. So if we got near this, if we got near this guy, he may or may not like try to climb up a tree. Oh, okay, he's going into the undergrowth. But it's important to know, also another reason they're called whistle pigs is because they will whistle if approached, if in danger, they warn others. They're kind of like, you know, prairie dogs. There's like a prairie hog. They have a security tunnel, and they have a sentry tunnel, and they have a main tunnel. So, you know, maybe if he runs away, we might be able to find the main tunnel. It's going to the underbush. They eat a lot of, it's mainly vegetation that they're eating, especially like, you know, all wildflowers. Right here we see him, I think he's like, you know, grazing on grasses. And their teeth, their incisors are continuously growing, but they're naturally worn down as they eat, and that's what keeps them at a normal length. Actually, and their incisors are a big part of their natural defense. So you can see, there was once like this treaty, some groundhogs, okay, that they should, that they're not that interesting, they said. Oh, it's just a car. Okay, as you can see, the groundhog has gone in. So maybe we can find the groundhog's burrow. It's in the underbush now. I'm gonna look for the burrow of the groundhog. Now I think I've heard something that like the groundhog in its burrow, sometimes the young get their own food. Okay, so here we have the groundhog's hole. And this is pretty interesting. It wasn't that hard to find. Again, I said they can be like over 10 meters long. They got multiple chambers, but they're not so huge and complex that they're like gonna go knock down a building. But it actually seems, I think I've heard this, that there's like, it has a pleasant smell to it over here, because I think some groundhogs actually collect like some certain better smelling plants, and they keep them in their hole. They actually have their own like chamber for just going to the bathroom within these holes. And now, I don't know if this is the entrance burrow or security burrow. Another thing is, the groundhog might actually be putting a lot of this here just to kind of make sure that it can't be seen by a predator. And again, as I was stating, not all things that go in groundhog burrows are going to be groundhogs. It could be foxes or other things. Foxes. But, but like, I mean, you see it goes down this way. So I'm wondering if we can maybe find the security hole here. You can cut out. Here is another part of the, well, woodchuck. You'll also call woodchucks too. Another burrow right here. This one's interesting because it's like, I mean, obviously they're not strong enough to be burrowing through like this rock right here. But clearly, you know, they were able to get to the dirt around here. It's kind of interesting. There's just a lot of rock formation around here. So yeah, I mean, I can look right in. First thing's gonna happen, it's gonna come out maybe with its incisors. I mean, now it's like, that's how they defend themselves. It's interesting too. Like, they're not usually observed play fighting, but they can be observed play fighting. But they're not actually super social creatures. Usually, like, the male leaves the female to nest. So supposedly sometimes the male might come back and actually teach the young children, which are actually called chucklings, about, you know, how to hunt and forage. Again, not that they do much hunting, they're vegetarian. So if, for instance, they were to see some dead animal along their path, they might eat it. If it was a dead bird, they might eat it. That's what they'll do. I mean, they don't really, I mean, they have predators. It's not like there's tons of wild, ferocious beasts roaming around the city of Pittsburgh. But, you know, I mean, humans, if a dog were to get after them, the foxes that can sometimes take their burrows. And again, that's also why they're known as whistle pigs, because that's part of their alarm, is the fact that they'll let out this high-pitched whistle. It actually sounds a lot like a bird. That's very nice cut. Okay, this is really cool. So we have another groundhog burrow. It's actually in a tree stump. I wasn't 100% sure if this was a burrow at first, but it does look like it goes in pretty far. Obviously, I think that he doesn't really enter through there because you can see there's spider webs. So, I mean, I'm not, it's interesting. I don't know where groundhogs enter from. I guess it has to be through. So I'm supposing that's what it does. Again, there might be a male and a female. Male's territories don't usually overlap, but male and female territories, they can overlap. I mean, these are pretty close. There's also a chance that this might be an older burrow. I've been told that the groundhog can be seen emerging from this burrow. Maybe it's not that old. But regardless, it's very interesting that it's in a tree, and I think that's really neat. We saw one completely in the dirt, one in the rocks, and one in a tree right here. And I think that's really cool. All along this little hillside in Pittsburgh.